Hi, and welcome to Buddy Baseball Training. My name is Dina Oberbreckling, and I'm going to be your trainer today. Today, we're going to watch and view a Buddy Baseball training with a PowerPoint presentation. And then after that, you're going to go and check out a YouTube video that is going to simulate a Buddy Baseball training game. And when you're done with that, you're going to email Russ, and he's going to send you a brief quiz just to check your knowledge. So pay attention, and let's get started. So, as we said, we're here for Buddy Baseball Training. And we want to get basic tips on how to interact with people with disabilities. We want to eliminate any myths that are associated with people with disabilities and give you the tools you need to have a great experience for you and your buddy. So, how do you define a disability? Well, it's a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more of the major life activities. So it could be having difficulty walking or thinking, vision, hearing. So there's many ways to have a disability. So now we're going to do an activity that's going to help you show how some people don't learn quite as quickly as others. So we're going to say the color of the word that is written and not the word itself. Now I know you're just home in your living room or in your bedroom watching this, but do play along because I think it will give you a good example. So again, we're saying the color of the word that is written, not the word itself. So that is green, red, and blue. And you could see, even with me, it took a little bit for me to concentrate and to do that. And so that really simulates how a person with disabilities processes things just a little bit slower than you or I do. And how many folks have disabilities? Well, more than you think. 1 in 5 people have disabilities, which is 20% of the population. Now, some are minor and can be quite severe, but we do have the whole range of disabilities with us on the Buddy Baseball Diamond. So we have folks with hearing issues, mobility issues, learning, medical conditions. So they do run the gamut, and we're here to help you learn about them and how to best work with your buddy. So things to keep in mind about your buddies, about your players, is that people with disabilities, they're not to be pitied. They're not victims. They're just, this is the life that they have. They're certainly not a threat, and they're not unable to do things independently. Each person can have a range of abilities, and we'll learn that together with your buddy and players. And they're not unable to learn new things. It just might be at a little different process. So again, different types of disability. We referred to this earlier: hearing, mobility, cognitive. Right here in the screen is Alex Henning. Alex Henning is one of our longtime players. He has mobility issues along with some other disabilities, but that doesn't stop him from having fun. So you can see the smile on his face. So another thing we want to talk about is give you some tips on interacting with people with disabilities and using what we call person first language. So, what this is, it's language that's sensitive and accurate, but it puts the focus on the individual and not the disability. And one thing about this tip or the skill we're going to teach you is this goes beyond the baseball diamond. This can, be used in your workplace, in your home, in your place of worship. So we'll give you some examples here on the next page. So rather than saying she's autistic, you would say she has autism. Rather than saying she's learning disabled, you would say she has a disability. So we want to say he is blind versus a blind person. So that is something to think about. And certainly the word that's on the bottom of the column on the right, that's just a word that we don't want to use at all. It has no place. And if you hear someone still using that old archaic word, that's not nice. Kindly correct them to not use that word anymore. So we're going to give you some tips in general, and this applies to all of our players. You want to treat the teens as teens and the adults as adults. So what does that mean? Well, even if someone has a cognitive impairment or something physically wrong with them, a 16-year-old boy is a 16-year-old boy, and you don't want to treat him like a 5-year-old boy. Now, true, you do have to take into account their abilities, but for the most part, treat them in an age appropriate manner. Also, you want to ask for them if they need assistance before just assuming that they can't do something. And if you can, wait until they accept the offer of assistance. And you're going to get to know your player and what they need and don't need. And certainly the parents and the coaches will be a help as well. So now we're going to talk about learning disabilities. And so these are folks that have different challenges. It could be for listening or speaking or reading. They just don't learn quite as easily as other folks do. Then we have autism spectrum disorder. I would say that a very large number of our players do have autism spectrum disorder. And so these folks, they might have difficulty making eye contact. They might not be verbal. They might need to have structure and don't do so well without it. And they might not pick up on those social cues that we just take for granted. And they might have an excessive attachment to objects, or some that people that might like a train or a certain doll or certain stuffed animal. So we want to make sure that we keep that object safe. Again, intellectual disabilities, they might have motor difficulties, lower cognitive abilities. Some folks that have Down syndrome will have intellectual disabilities, but you just give simple instructions and they'll be just fine. So, how or what are some tips to deal with folks that have intellectual disabilities and autism rather? You want to speak to the individual directly and give them simple to understand directions. You don't want to be patronizing. You don't want to use a childish tone of voice, but you want to just give examples and instructions one at a time. So, for instance, when a player comes up to bat, you're going to say, "Okay, Tommy, we're up to bat, and after we hit the ball, you're going to give me the bat, and we're going to run to first base." And that's all you need to say. You might need to say it a couple times, but you don't need to say about running to second or third. When you get to first base, "Okay, Tommy, after Jimmy hits the ball, we're going to run to second," and so on. You want to praise often, give that positive reinforcement so they know that you're doing a great job. And know the needs of your player. Again, we've talked about that. That is, the most important thing you can do is to know the needs of your player so you'll be able to help and adapt as you need to. Now we'll talk about children with emotional or behavioral disabilities. These folks, they might have trouble controlling their emotions. They might act out at times. So you wanna stay calm. You want to give them the space, and you want to try to steer them to some positive behavioral choices. Now, I will mention if it gets a little bit out of hand, you certainly want to reach out to your coach or a parent and make sure that you get the help if you need it. We have very few incidents, but want you to know that you're not in this alone. If something gets a little bit more than you can handle, ask for reinforcements. Now, we do have some players that are blind or visually impaired. Now, for these folks, you really need to paint a picture because they can't see the ball, they can't see the baseball diamond. So it's for you to paint the picture of what's going on. Let them know where we're going, what's happening. And then we do have a beep ball. So that's a ball that beeps. So some of our players are able to, between listening to the beep and hearing the pitcher count down the pitch, they might be able to hit it. So that's really exciting to see. So you want to be there for them, see how you can assist, and give them the play by play. Now's the time for you to be that baseball play by play announcer. Now, one thing I want to also mention is we've talked about distinct kinds of disabilities, so far, blind and physically impaired and intellectually challenged. And you might say, oh, well, my player is on the autism spectrum disorder, so I don't need to worry about, how to work with a blind person. Well, sometimes you might be called to pitch in and another buddy might be out and you might be working with a child that's different than your normal player. So I would say, think about all the different disabilities that we're talking about so you can apply them to your own player rather, or anyone else's. So then there's physical disabilities. So again, there's our wonderful guy, Alex, and he's in a wheelchair. And up to them, the wheelchair is an extension of the body. So you don't want to lean on the chair. You don't want to, just act like it's just there for you to rest on. You also want to make eye contact, be on eye level with them. Try not to lean down or talk down. Try to get down right down with them, and also ask how they can, need assistance. Some folks in the wheelchair can still hold the bat and swing the ball, and some, Alex actually needs a little bit more help holding the bat. So you'll get to know that, and then you'll have a lot of fun running down the bases with those in a wheelchair, especially since we just put new buddy baseball fields with like a turf rather than dirt. So it's really easy now to work with our children that have wheelchairs or walkers or canes. So the player bio, you want to make sure that you read this. Now, you should have gotten it, or maybe your parents got it, and this lets you know what you can do and how you can help them. And over 70% of those that have registered, they need help paying attention. So that's where you come in. And also, safety is really job one. So you want to be sure that when a ball is being hit, you are, right there by your buddy, and if so you can block it if he's not or she's not getting ready to catch it. So you want to pay attention, and you want to listen to your coaches and talk to your parents, their parents, to get any tips. And here's a key one: you want to get to the game 15 minutes early so you're ready for your player. You know, these players, they just look forward to this. We missed a season last week, but a lot of us are cooped up because of COVID. And so when they can get outside and have this 1 hour a week, we want to be there with bells on, ready to go so you can practice playing with them. And here's an example of a player bio sheet. You can look at it and know that the different disabilities they have, what he needs help with, and also some fun facts about them. His favorite thing about summer is swimming. So you might want to talk to him how you like swimming, where do you like to go swimming, talk about if you have a pool. So those types of things. And here's examples of how we help them bat. You really want to get them positioned, so their legs are parallel, you have the bat up, and then also very key is you want to make sure they don't throw the bat. You want to get with them to when after they finish swinging and they hit the ball to give you the bat. So that's very key, and you can see uh, great examples of our buddies helping our players bat. So disability etiquette. How do we treat our players? Well, actually, a lot like we treat each other, with respect, with dignity, with kindness, and patience. So let's wrap up. We want to be there and be on time. You just heard me say that a couple slides ago, but it's so important. Know your player, take an interest in them, protect them, be ready to go if a ball's coming or they're just be ready to go. Make sure you bring a glove, it's helpful. Encourage their involvement and independence. Give that positive reinforcement. Respect them. Accept them for who they are and what they can do. Now, do share your concerns. If again, if something were to happen, it's they are acting out a little bit. If there's anything inappropriate in nature, make sure you tell a coach or a parent just as soon as possible. You don't want to let these things go. And be open to suggestions from parents. They know these children, they know what they need help with. So, just be open to feedback and be confident, be enthusiastic, and most of all, have fun. So, what are your next steps? Well, you've done one of them. You stayed with me and watched this and paid attention. And now, after this is done, you're going to go back to that email and you're going to click on the link and watch the YouTube video. It's very, very brief, but it really, whereas this was just PowerPoint, the YouTube video is two former buddies showing what it's like on the field and simulating a buddy baseball game. And now after you finish this and after you've watched the YouTube video, you want to go ahead and email Russ, and he's going to send you a brief quiz just to do a knowledge check, just to make sure that you understood this training and you're ready to go on day one. Here's the email address, and you also have that in your inbox. And certainly if you have any questions, contact Russ. So I want to thank you so much for participating and watching this training. I can't wait to see you on the ball field. Thanks and play ball.